Today's conversation is with Tom Chapman, the creator of the Lions Collective, a really interesting organisation that deals with men's mental health within our industry. He's also an ambassador for two major companies, and I want to find out the backstory with that, how he got the job, where it's taken him, and what is his role within those companies. I hope you enjoy my chat with Tom.
Mr. Tom Chapman, welcome to Barber Jabber with me, Gary Spencer, the creator of the Great British Barber Bash. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Gary. Nice to see your face on this Monday morning.
You would sound like a 1980s DJ.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Absolutely.
You've definitely got a job on Radio 2 or something, I reckon.
No problem. Well, listen, I've got loads I want to discuss with you today. Obviously, we'll talk about the Lions Collective, which has been a massive project for you over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I would think. And it's constantly evolving, so we'll talk about that. But what I wanted to start off with was actually you as a barber, hairdresser, creative person. When did you start? What age were you when you got into the industry of hair?
I started when I was 18. So I finished my A-levels. And then I was going to go to university and study ancient history and Egyptology. And I just thought, you know what, it's not for me. I don't really want to do that. I'm just going for a party, really, more than anything. And my mum suggested hairdressing because I can't colour my own hair. So I thought, well, do you know what? I can't think of anything better to do. It makes sense. I'd never even considered it as a job. I think it's because I was academic and I had the grades to go to university. And my teachers, when I told them I was going to be a hairdresser, were disappointed in me because there's this kind of route, isn't there, that you take. If you're academic, you go and do the next level of education, and then next, and next, and next. And you go and do hairdressing or barbering if you can't do anything else. It's one of those kind of career paths that you take if you're perhaps not intelligent enough or academic enough to do some other. I mean, ancient history and Egyptology. What the bloody hell is I going to do with that? I mean,
you were going to work in Holland and Barrett. You'd have got a job in Holland and Barrett.
Yeah, exactly.
Selling granola.
Yeah, if I was lucky. If I was lucky.
I totally agree with you. It's sort of when kids are leaving school, and especially in the UK over the last 10 years or 15 years, even if they're going to go do travel and tourism or whatever it is, it's just numbers to get them into colleges. But what we've ended up with a lot less people going into the trade. A lot of people get advice to go to universities, and then they come to us when they're 25, 28, 30 even, and say, do you know what, I always really wanted to do barbering. So it can be a bit of a shame if they're not put into the right sort of industry when they leave school. So you went in at 18, and was that into hairdressing you went in, or was it barbering?
No, I went to hairdressing. So I started off with Tony and Guy and worked with them. I mean, so for my last probably 12 weeks of A-levels, I was doing my A-levels Monday to Friday. Saturday, I volunteered to go and work at Tony and Guy. I was sweeping the floors and just helping out. And then Sundays, I was working at a local sort of, I wouldn't say theme park, but like leisure park kind of place for £2.50 an hour, doing that. So I was doing 7 days a week for the last few weeks of my education because I was just desperate to get in there. I thought, if I go and volunteer and give my time, they're going to show. Loads of people were on the list for wanting the job as an apprentice at Tony and Guy. So I thought if I volunteer, then it kind of shows my passion and desire to get the job. And so went from there, went straight into that. And I am thankful I went into the hairdressing world first. I think the structure and theory side behind it, the 3 years of education, I think it gave me a good solid base. I think there's a good level of professionalism within a company like that as well. Learning about salon etiquette, customer service, front of house, and it was a good time to be around a company like that with the TG. They just started doing the bedhead stuff, product development, collections, hair shows. I mean, I wouldn't have even thought of doing. When I went into it, I thought, I'm going to go and work behind the chair. But seeing what they do with a company like Tony and Guy, it's just like there is no end to the possibilities with stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realise this sort of background stuff like the etiquette and the behaviour within the shop, and I think that's stuff that's good. We're now seeing more in barbering. I think the standard of service, etc., in barbering has greatly improved over the last few years, in particular. Again, things like offering a nice coffee, offering refreshments, and and just general service. I think appointment systems has also helped. With the, instead of the old queuing system. So there's definitely a move towards better service within barbering. But I think if you get that foundation in hairdressing, it can only be a benefit. So when did you start moving more into men's hair, or have you always done a mixture of both?
Well, Tony and Guy, there was only a couple of men's haircuts that you did. It was all scissor over comb. There was no clippers allowed in the shop. It was kind of seen as cheating or considered cheating, considered that scissor over comb gives a far better quality haircut, which is a load of nonsense, we all know, because it wasn't a tool that they knew how to use. So it was so far removed. And barbering was looked down upon as well a lot back then. And it's seen as sort of second-rate hairdressing. It was something, they just short back and sides and that's it. And because the girls in there, there's 18 girls in there I think I was working with, and they didn't like cutting blokes' hair, so I ended up with the blokes in my chair being new to the shop floor, and I had a load of mates that, obviously the blokes, so I messed around with their hair, and I bought a pair of Wool Super Tapers myself and just practiced at home in my kitchen on loads of victims that some of them are still my friends, some of them aren't, but it was one of those things that I just taught myself with the techniques that I'd learned from hairdressing. So it's a bit of a weird one. So there was a constant of men's hair from the very beginning in my career, but it wasn't until later on when I really started to find my passion for that side of things.
Yeah, I think probably the era you've come through hairdressing and then now into barbering, I think what was barbers like more about it is the precision aspect of it.
Yeah.
Colouring is a job all on its own, don't get me wrong. The beautiful hair that's been in hairdressing, like the bouncy blow dries and that glamorous Kim Kardashian hair that's been in hairdressing for the last 10 years, has moved the hairdressers away from those precision haircuts. And I think we sort of are drawn to those, aren't we? The tight graduation and again, using the clippers and stuff. What benefits do you feel, apart from obviously the salon etiquette and stuff, what benefits do you feel the actual hands-on hairdressing has given you in barbering?
Well, I think the whole sectioning patterns, things like using clips, picking up the hair with my hands, using combs, tension, all those kinds of different things are tools that we'd normally used in, like you say, precision haircuts, like those classic graduations and all those kind of bobs, graduated bobs, all those kind of things, and having a real sort of structure to a haircut rather than being visual. I think when I sort of started doing barbering and talking to barbers, it was more of a visual thing. It was a visual journey. Whereas with the hairdressing, it was very much, here's the start, here's the finish, this is how you get there. I think combining both of those has enabled me to become, because I had that structure of this is how you start, this is how you get there. And I understand how to take weight away, build weight up, remove length, texturize, all those kinds of things, and then add in clippers to that. I think that kind of helped me because I never did an official barbering qualification as such. It was more of a take what I've learned from hairdressing and understanding of hair, understanding shape and weight and length, and then bringing in clippers and a new tool into that, which enabled me to move forward. And I think it just become like you said, the precision work. You really know it. Like if you cut a woman's hair, and I still do cut women's hair time to time, and it's a long hair, like you say, a long bouncy blow dry. Yeah, it looks glamorous and it looks lovely, and it does look nice, but it's not much of a transformation. Even if you've got somebody that comes in and they have a skin fade and it's about a grade 4 or 3 or something, it looks completely different. It is completely fresh haircut. You're sculpting something new every single time.
It's a real design, isn't it?
Such precise details and shorter lengths. Yeah, exactly that. And it's a start to finish. You're creating something new every single time. Whereas with a trim, it's like inch off the bottom, inch off the layers, nice blow dry, bouncy blow dry. It looks glorious, looks beautiful. But and when she blow dries her hair, next time it's never going to look the same. Whereas the guys are going to walk away, it's going to look fresh and it's going to look good for them for a while at least.
Yeah, definitely. When did you, therefore, obviously you'd worked at Tony and Guy. I know you've not got your shop now because you're so busy doing other things, but when did you make the decision to take it to the next level and get your own salon?
So that was, 2011 I opened the salon. And it was a case of, I was working somewhere else. I worked with somebody after Tony and Guy, and I was kind of managing the shop, and I was running it kind of for them. So I had 2 shops, and there was lots of other things I wanted to do, but because it wasn't my place, I was limited. You know, it was sort of, I had to ask permission before doing stuff, and I had lots of ideas. And I just thought, you know what, it's my time now. I was sort of, I was 27, something like that. And I thought, you know what, I'm in a position where I could do that. I felt ready to take that responsibility on. I saved some money. They gave me some money towards it, and we get it all set up, and that gave me the ability to do what I wanted to do. So that salon was the unisex salon, and it was there open, you know, whatever, 6 days a week. But on the times that it wasn't open, I used it as a photographic studio. I used it to educate. I used it to teach people. I used it we used to have salon sessions in there. We used to, you know, which was basically a free party for all the clients with rum and pizza and also live music playing in there and all that. I just thought it was, you know, I think that gave me that ability to, if I had an idea, I was just like, do you know what, let's just do it. Let's just go for it. And that gave me the ability to reach more people, you know, create more content, social media, potentially get into magazines. And that, like I've said to you before, you know, you got hold of me and asked me to be part of what was Barber Envy
Razzle.
at the time.
That was Razzle magazine.
Had a feature.
Razzle and Hustler.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, yeah, I was in the Reader's Wives part. Yeah, I mean, that just gave me the platform, to be able to do things like that, and it gave me that freedom. And I think it was possibly the best thing I ever did was opening my salon. Because it gave me the platform to go into education, enter competitions, create content which I could put on social media, which gave me the platform to come and do live stuff, the Great British Barber Bash, you know, all those opportunities and platforms to be able to go further. But at the same time, I also think that selling it was one of the best decisions I ever made as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think having watched your journey, which we're going to talk about it more and more during this conversation, I think it's sort of a path, isn't it? It's a journey, and I think having the shop is all part of it. And although you've not got it now, I think it was obviously something you needed to tick off your list, because you're obviously a driven person, and you sort of, I think you like to have projects. You know, you sort of have projects you're working on something. Probably like me, you know. And I think having that shop was the platform. And again, that's probably how we met, really, wasn't it? You were doing your shop. Instagram had just come out. We started doing our shows about 5-6 years ago. And I think I reached out to you about being in a magazine that I was associated with at the time. And, you know, it's how all these things happen. It's a little bit serendipitous or fortuitous, but, you know, you have to get yourself out there for these things to happen. You mentioned there about, you got rid of the shop. Obviously, now I'm just going to come on to the Lions Collective. I can remember seeing you start this thing, and again, it was about 5 years ago. It was before we did our Liverpool show, I think, the first ever Liverpool show. How did this come into your mind? What sort of got you going or excited to get involved in mental health and helping your clients? What was the starting point?
Well, I think long before Lions Barber Collective was even a thought, when I started at Tony and Guy, my manager said to me that we're all be prepared to be a therapist and a counselor and a psychiatrist. People are going to tell you stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I just thought, what the fuck is he talking about? I just want to cut hair, be cool, you know, like this rock star hairdresser, you know, lifestyle, you know, be social, go to parties, all that kind of stuff, meet people. But that was, I mean, I've reflected on that now. I think he's so right. It has been joked about for many years that we are this kind of therapist, you know, for everyone who sits in our chair. But the idea of the Lions Barber Collective, it was on that New World Barbers Facebook group. And I had the idea of like, look, let's get everybody together and do a collection, almost a photographic collection. And I managed to round up like 30 barbers, including like Alan Beak and Paul Mack and all these kinds of people. And I was like, let's do it for charity. You know, let's get it out there, do it for charity, get the lookbook out there. And I said, what charity should we do it for? And a lot of the guys were suggesting like men's health, general men's health. Mostly it was like prostate cancer, testicular cancer. Yeah. And I just thought, you know what? Not that they're not worthy causes, but I've heard, I could name you like 10 charities that do these things. I want to do something that I don't know about, something that does need the awareness. And then Paul Mack actually suggested suicide prevention. And I just thought, shit, that's what we need to do it
That's
for,
a good
because
one.
I'd lost a year before that, I'd lost a close friend to suicide, and I didn't know anything was wrong with him. I didn't know he was suffering. I didn't know he'd even contemplated it. I seen him days before and said nothing, didn't know anything. And I thought, if I've been affected directly, I've lost somebody, and he was affected. He had no one around him that he could talk to. How many people out there are suffering alone, don't know where to turn, don't know what resources are available, don't have the courage to talk to somebody because they think they'd be seen as weak. And I just thought, well, that's definitely what we've got to do it for. And it was meant to be a one-off project, maybe an annual thing. And then it kind of grew from there. It kind of reflected on that whole thing of, barbers and hairdressers talking to and listening to their clients. And then I found out that suicide is the biggest killer in young people under 45s. 75% of them are men. And it just sort of it kind of made more and more organic steps forward, in the sense of like, okay, we're barbers, men. The biggest killer in under 45s in men is suicide. We talk to our clients that are mostly men. Yeah, it made perfect sense. And then people from public health got in touch with me, and psychiatrists got in touch with me saying, how this is amazing. This is men. We can't reach men. We can't get them to talk to. And it just kind of grew from there. And I think because I've always had this thing of losing somebody to suicide, it's become a mission, it's become a passion, it's become a sense of purpose. And I think when the first life we saved, that was the big turning point. I thought, I can't give this up now. I've saved one person's life. We're saving lives. We're making a difference, not only to that person, but their family and their loved ones. And we even had one of our lion prospects, save a life on Friday. She come online to tell us that she'd actually helped someone get them to hospital, mental health team, and they were going to take their life. If it wasn't for her listening to them, they would have lost another person. I think that is the essence of it now. The fact that, Jesus, I can, through my training that we developed and training other people, we're affecting people I don't even know about anymore. And that's way bigger than me, way bigger than it'll ever be.
Yeah. How many people now are involved in the Lions Collective?
Well, we've got like 20 old ambassadors. We've got about another 20 something prospects who are, so the ambassadors are sort of like, well, everyone knows what an ambassador is, but they're sort of like the speakers for what we do in our mission. And then the prospects are people who want to become ambassadors. And anybody can become a prospect if you get in touch with us. And then we have over 1,000 people that have been trained now through Barber Talk. And if you say, every hairdresser or barber may see between 100 and 150 to 200 people a week, you're talking 100,000 conversations every week at least that are being had, and opportunities for people to be able to open up and offload, and that hairdresser or hair professional are prepared for those conversations. That's the important thing, because those conversations are really hard. The questions to ask, the ability to listen, and the knowledge to know where to send them, because we don't like asking those questions. We don't really like asking people how they are, because we're scared of what the answer may be if we suspect they're struggling.
Or you do ask, how are you? But you're not really listening to the answer.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then if people do tell you, I mean, we say those things, don't we? Like, "You all right, mate? How's it going? How are you?" But we don't actually mean that. It's more like, "Hello," And it's about teaching people to say after that, the second question, "How are you feeling today, Gary?" Make it personal, make it about that day, and give them permission to talk if you've recognised they may need to. And listen. Don't try and offer advice or try and solve the problem. I think we always want to try and fix things, but a lot of the time it's not about fixing anything. It's about them having the opportunity to be able to offload and not tell them, "I know how you feel, I understand," because we don't really. And then when we have listened to them, direct them to things that are available, whether that be Samaritans or hubofhope.co.uk, or even like that girl called the ambulance. A lot of people don't realise that ambulances are for mental health as well as physical health. In a moment of crisis, we have mental health teams at the hospital, at A&E.
Yeah, definitely. I think that what's come to light over the last 4 or 5 years since you've been doing your thing, maybe that's why I notice it more, is that it's in all walks of life. I mean, I never realised how many people did struggle. I actually struggled myself. I used to have 5 shops, and when the recession hit about 10 years ago, I went through a period where I didn't want to go get out of bed in the morning, and I didn't want to go to bed at night, because then I'd be the next day being around, and I had a load of bills that I couldn't pay, and times were tough. So what I was probably doing was going through a bit of depression, but I didn't realise it at the time, and I felt very awkward talking to people about it. And you got people giving you the advice saying, "Oh, what you want to do is blah blah blah," and you just didn't want to speak to them. You just didn't want to speak. So I'm prepared to say, like, I've had a little touch of this. Now I'm seeing people more and more. My daughter actually has a little bit of anxiety, and again, telling people, "Oh, man up or sort yourself out," isn't good enough anymore, is it? So I think it's admirable what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's been something that's obviously always been around, but people just haven't been able to say, "Oh, I'm not okay, actually. No, I don't feel well. I've not been myself," and and also be able to reach out to people. Is the basis of it really just looking out for signs with people that come into your shop and being able to talk to them and maybe give them a little bit of sort of guidance as who they can speak to? Is that the core of Barber Talk, or what are the key elements of Barber Talk?
Yeah, I think, do you know what, the reason why it works is because blokes don't go and see their GP. We don't go and see our GP, but we do go and see our barbers. Blokes don't want to talk to their GP about their physical health, let alone their mental health, but blokes are quite happy to sit in a barber chair and rant about their missus or their kids or their job or their money situation or whatever. And that is talking about your mental health. And I think there's no stigma or taboo about going into a barber shop. If someone said to you, you've got to go and see a therapist, or you've got to go and see a psychiatrist, there's already those anxieties around it, thinking, shit, they're going to prescribe me something, antidepressants, they're going to diagnose me with this or this or this. Whereas if you go and talk to your barber, they're not going to prescribe anything to you. They're not going to, diagnose you of anything. They will listen to you and have a chat with you, and they'll probably have a bit of laugh with you, and it's a normal situation. And I think we need to realize that there's a real big imbalance between physical health and mental health, especially in the NHS. I mean, we understand that, NHS is geared up for physical health. Mental health services are very limited. If you have cancer, you would be seen very quickly. If you're suicidal, you may wait 6 to 18 months for any kind of help at all. They're both as deadly. And, I think there's this whole, we need to move away from mental health being PTSD, bipolar, depression. There's other things there as well. Like, if we don't think of physical health as things like just cancer. Physical health is you'll take a day off if you're feeling down, you've got a stomach ache, or you've got your sickness bug, or your flu or whatever. You'll take a day off for that. But you wouldn't take a day off if you're feeling really depressed and down for the day. And that's normal, and you will get better from that. And I think we need to realize it's human condition. We all have shit days. We all look in the mirror and not like what's looking back. We all feel tired. We all, been disappointed, had a loss, whether that be a relationship or a family member or a pet or whatever. Those are all normal things, a human condition, but it's actually that is our mental health working. And I think we need to move away from mental health conditions and people and the terminology around it, like, oh, he's crazy, I went out with this girl, she was bipolar, or it's all derogatory terms. And I think, once we realize it's mental health condition is a human condition and we all deal with it. Mental health knows no boundaries, no sex, no age, no race, no nationality, no nothing. No religion. It affects us all, and I think that's what we need to come to terms with and change that way we think.
Yeah, I mean, again, talking about me for a change. I get a little bit of anxiety, not proper full-on anxiety, but if I've got a lot of stuff to do, like in the morning, I'll wake up and I'll like, oh, I've got to do this, got to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I know myself that by the time I've got out of bed, when I've had my shower and had a coffee, maybe even gone for a little walk with my dog, I know I'm feeling better. Now that's a sort of knowing your body and knowing how your mind works a little bit. But like you're saying, I think men sometimes put a lot of pressure on themselves, in particular men, when they feel they can't have a day off work because they feel pressured that they've got to be the provider and stuff. And obviously that's important. Sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves and we don't look for these telltale signs when we're, and acknowledge that we're not feeling well mentally at some point, What would you say to somebody if they, especially after lockdown, they go back to work, they've got team members working with them, they've noticed there's been a bit of a change over this big lockdown period we've had. Maybe they're not as sort of, buoyant as they normally are. Maybe they've got money problems. Maybe they've got, how being at home hasn't served them well, let's put it that way. What would be the advice or direction you'd go in?
Well, I think it's really important to actually let them know that it's a safe space for you to, and you will listen to them. Ask them those questions. how are you feeling today, Gary? Make it personal. Ask them about this time and this, rather than going, are you sure you're all right, mate? Because that's just really general. That's just like, yeah, I'm fine. How are you feeling today, Gary? Use their name. Let them, make them feel safe. And even if they don't want to say anything, tell them, say, look, it's a safe space. If you want to talk to me, I'm here. But if they do open up and they do start to tell you things, don't be scared of silences. Don't try and jump in and offer advice or fix the problem. Give them that platform to talk. You're probably the first person they've ever spoken to about this issue. And they're trying to verbalize something, get it out of their head. And we all know what it's like. I bet everybody listening to this is laid in bed at night thinking and worrying about something. And it gets more and more out of control when it's in your own head. Until you actually open up and offlay that information, it doesn't make any sense. So you're giving them that opinion, that ability to be able to speak freely. And a lot of the time, still listen to them, obviously listen to what they're saying, but speak freely. And they will often solve their own problems. They will come up and tell you what they need to do, but they haven't had the ability to do that and not think straight. So take in what they're saying, and if it is talking about money problems, register it with them and perhaps let them know you're listening to them by saying, yeah, Gary, I understand you're struggling with your funds right now. How's that making you feel? So let them know that you're talking about, you're listening to them, put it back to them and offer them another open opportunity to talk. And then when they have finished talking, there's lots of things you can send them to, but my biggest go-to for signposting is hubofhope.co.uk. And if you go into hubofhope.co.uk, you can type in your postcode and it will geographically list all the resources that are available to you, whether that's gambling problems, whether that's domestic violence, whether it's child services, finance problems, anything. And those guys over there, Jack, who runs that, they're just incredible. And it's such a great directory and service because it's a one-stop shop. You can go on there and you can find something. So you can always help people. And I think it's not about, you're not meant to be left holding the ball. We're not there. We're not counselors, we're not therapists. We haven't got all the answers. Our advice may not be the best advice. Just listen to them and point them in the direction of people that may be able to help them. It's about knowing the knowledge of where you can send people more than anything.
Yeah, it's knowing where can do something for you. I know, again, we had a little thing with my daughter with this anxiety. She was not liking being in big crowds of people and stuff, and it was actually quite difficult to find somewhere. I'm sure there are places, but we were struggling finding somewhere to give us a little bit of advice on that. Right, I'm going to move you on a little bit. I just want to say before I do move on, if anybody does listen to this podcast and wants any advice, feel free always to contact me and I can put you in touch. And I'm sure if you contact Tom directly, he'll help you out. And, we're here. That's the point of the Barber Bash. That's the point of what Tom's doing. We are a community. We all got to work together. So feel free to, contact us at any time. I do want to just ask you a couple of other things. I noticed through your job, you met Prince William. Tell me a little bit about how that came about and what that was.
So that was a weird one. I had a phone call. It's probably about 8 months before it happened from a girl at the Royal Foundation, and they wanted to. It was quite a long vetting process. They wanted to ask me, what we do with the charity, how we do it, are we a registered charity, or background searches, all this kind of stuff going on, and it was phone call after phone call, interview back and forth, and then they said, "Look, Prince William wants to meet you. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to set this up." And I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't hear anything for a while. And then 2 weeks before, I had a phone call to say, right, Prince William wants to meet you. It's going to be on Valentine's Day. We need a location in London. We need this. So it was all done very quickly. I had to come and do security checks and everything. And because I was so busy, I just moved back to the UK from Norway. And because everything was so busy with all stuff that was going on, it was... It kind of wasn't real, really. I've got so many other things going on in my life. If it had been 4 years ago, it would have been the only thing I had to think about. Getting up, cutting hair, and then thinking, I've got to meet Prince William. Oh my God, what if I say something wrong? What if I do this? What if I trip over? What if I could shake his hand and miss it? Or what? Do you know what I mean? What if all these kind of, but I didn't have any time to worry about that. And we got up there and I stood outside the shop that we met in Paddington, and there's crowds of people. I don't know how, obviously I think it's like someone hears, they're all going to work at the time, all the people in that area. So someone says, oh, Prince William's coming. Oh, and then all of a sudden this crowd appears. And I'm waiting outside because I was like his host, or like just sort of the one who would usher him around and introduce him to all the other people that were there, the ambassadors and stuff. And it didn't feel real at all. It was just sort of chatting away to people. And then you just see him walking down the stairs. And I thought, shit, that's actually him. That's actually royalty there. That's the future king of England. And he come shook my hand and we had a laugh. And he was actually really just down to earth and really normal. I mean, I know his job is to meet people, but he seemed really genuinely interested in what we're doing. He went round, he met all the other people, like Dan Davies was there as well. And I had some of the people who have been saved or helped by the Lions there, meeting them. And Dr. Peter Aitken, who's a psychiatrist who sort of helps out with the charity a lot. He's one of the charity's trustees. And it was a little bit surreal, but he stayed with us for a long time. I think he was only meant to be with us for 45 minutes, and it was well over an hour by the time he left. And he kept asking questions, and he didn't have to. He didn't have to. And the security guys were sort of nudging me, trying to get me to hurry him up. And I thought, I can't tell Prince William to, come on, mate, hurry up. He needs to get out of here. I mean, it's not my place to do that. Come on, mate. So I thought, let's just do it and enjoy it. And it was very surreal, but it was an amazing moment for the charity, reflecting back on it, because there isn't much better endorsement or higher endorsement than the royal family of the country. So we'd had that. We won an award from Theresa May beforehand, so the highest office in the land, and royalty actually endorsed what we were doing with Lions Barber Collective, and that to me is actually pretty unbelievable. When I started it, I never ever could imagine that would happen.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And like I said to you the other day, I've worked with a lot of queens, and that still impressed me. Listen, I was going to say to you, and I'm going to stick on because I think this is such a fantastic subject, and I think it's amazing what you've done. The £1.7 million haircut. Tell me about that, because again, it's something I've not actually watched yet, but I've got to watch it. But tell me again about how that project came about and why it was so good.
Well, we had quite a lot of interest from different production companies about doing stuff with the Lions TV, whether it be Lions makeover shows and all sorts of random stuff and documentaries and things. And I was talking to the guys who made our videos for the training, Bible Talk training. And they said, oh yeah, well, perhaps we should do something. And we know the guys, we know how people at Amazon and all this kind of stuff, perhaps we should make the film ourselves, and then we can control the narrative. We can, you can have a say in how it goes a bit more. Whereas if you work with a production company, obviously they control the edits and so they can make it do whatever they want. So it sounded really interesting, and I just thought, let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's follow the journey and see what we're doing. And it kind of gives a bit of an insight into the Lions Barber Collective, what we were doing, how we were doing things, the struggles, the strains. That the charity isn't all. At one point, at the beginning of this year, we didn't know if we were going to be able to continue financially because we didn't have any money in the bank. Because being a small charity, we don't have any staff. We don't have any. It's all run pretty much with volunteers and freelancing people. So we were really worried about that. Luckily, we got some support from Public Health England, which helps us. But it talks about that. It talks about one of my favourite things in the film was doing the Barber Surgeons Hall. I don't know if you know what the Barber Surgeons are, but it's a livery company in London, over 700 years old. And basically, they were there to look after the barber surgeons of London. Over the years, barbers and surgeons split up. We were not allowed to do any amputations or bloodletting anymore in our hairdressing and barber shops. Yeah. Thank God.
Not legally.
But not legally, no. A bit of teeth pulling out the back, but that's about it. But that got that, they are mostly, the livery company are mostly surgeons now, ex-medical professionals. And we actually cut hair in there and did a presentation for MPs, mental health professionals, livery company. We were the first people to ever cut hair on that 700-year-old site in front of an original painting of Holbein's painting of King Henry VIII and the original barbers. And that actual painting had a burnt, the bottom left-hand corner was burnt from the Great Fire of London, when they managed to save the painting because the original building burnt down 1666 in the fire. Incredible.
Bloody hell. Bit of history there for you, bit of history. Yeah. So the
a bit of history, yeah. And I will go down in the, sorry.
£1.7 million, it's on Amazon, is it? It's on Amazon, the £1.7 million.
It's on Amazon Prime, you can watch Amazon Prime, yeah. And you can, the reason why it's called £1.7 million haircut is because we found this out whilst filming. The economic burden of a death by suicide is £1.7 million. So every time that someone dies by suicide, it costs the economy that, and that's through loss of opportunities, inquest, coroners, ongoing counselling, all those kind of things for the family members. And I never really thought about the financial loss of a death by suicide, because I was so caught up in the emotional loss. And you can't. I'm not saying that 1.7 million pound is the cost of a person. It's just the reality that's how much it costs the economy every time somebody dies by suicide. And it just makes you think it's sort of a different outlook on it. Something that shocked me. When you think it's the biggest killer in young people, it was over £9 billion last year alone. So why is that money not being invested somewhere in prevention? Why are we not valuing mental health services a bit more? Because there is no prevention is better than cure, but there is no cure. There is no cure to suicide. It's very final.
Yeah. Right. Well, listen. Obviously, we've talked there about your Lions Collective and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're obviously still earning a living doing your creative stuff, your barbering stuff. Tell me a little bit about JRL that you're working with, and you're also working with Kuhn.
Yep.
Tell me what roles you've got with them now.
So JRL, I'm sort of international goal. I can't even speak now. So early on a Monday morning, I am an international educator for them, and I do a little bit of creation for them. So last year, I created free looks for them using only their clipper tools. Step-by-step stuff. I go and work. I was in LA working at the hair show out there for them, doing presentations and sales and all that kind of stuff. But it's really good fun because I get to be part of the development team. I get to be part of the new clippers that are coming out, the Fresh Fade 2020 and the 2020T, the clippers and trimmers. We're part of that process. We get to say this. No, that needs to be, the teeth need to be a bit deeper on that blade, or it's not hitting hard enough. It needs to be a bit more power or a bit less power, or I like the way that looks. And I think that's one of the things I love about working with them, is that I can speak to the owner, Shio. I can phone him up and talk to him and be part of that. Whereas if I was working perhaps with another bigger brand, who would you even talk to? Who would you get to? Who's the owner? And have that say. So that's a really, really, they're a great company. I'm the only person outside the States who works for them at the moment. They are coming to the UK. They've just got a distribution deal in the UK now, which is fantastic. So there's all the clippers are coming. The new ones are coming. I've just seen they've just been doing the fade blade, perfecting the fade blade for the new trimmer as well, the new clipper as well. And it's hitting pretty hard, pretty impressive video footage of that going on the WhatsApp, JRL WhatsApp at the moment. But it's just great to work with them. They're a great family. It feels like a really good bunch we've got there now. Got some incredible, Drew the Barber and Squeak Pro Barber. I don't know if you know those guys or heard of them. Right. They're just unbelievable. Working alongside those. Too Cold as well. She's incredible. Val down in Mexico. In Texas. And there's all of them. Raul. There's loads. It's really interesting being part of that scene of the American barbers and seeing how they work. Being accepted into that. And being British as well, they always stick me on the mic at all the shows because they just haul me out with my accent to try and get people to come over and buy clippers, which is fair enough. I don't mind.
Excellent.
And then obviously there's Kuhn Hair Cosmetics, which I'm the global barber director for. So that means that I am creating education. We just created the first ever men's education for them. A load of haircuts going through, working from trying to give all the tools, clippers, scissors, razors, all the different tools, all the different techniques, try and give them as many different skills as possible. And that's mostly a hair cosmetic salon based. So we had that in mind when we created the education. Do a lot of photo shoots for them, help create new products, suggest things, go into the lab with them, factory, see all of that. Created all the marketing imagery for the last global campaign. And I think that's a massive thing for me, just to think that the haircut images I created are on banners and points of sale in Russia, Australia, Lithuania, everywhere, India, Pakistan. It's just literally incredible to think that that's even a possibility. I never would have imagined that on my first day in Tony and Guy, that I would be doing those kind of things. So they're both fantastic roles and I love doing them. Get to do platform work around the world. I'm very blessed, really.
Yeah, and we're going to be finishing off pretty soonish, but one of the main things I wanted to ask you, and what we get asked a lot, is how do you get those jobs? How does it, are they advertised, or how did you get the JRL job for a start?
Pure fluke. I'm joking. I got the the JRL job. So that came about because I think it's about taking opportunities and, we make our own luck, making the most of the opportunities that you got and interacting with the right people. So the JRL thing came from, I was doing a hair show in Chicago and I was representing the Lions Barber Collective there. And there was a guy called Jonathan who owned a hair product company, American-based hair product company called El Patron. And I met with him, talked to him. He had a magazine called Barber Magazine out there at the time, did an interview with him. Then he followed up and said, look, do you want to come over? I was with Lawrence Foe. Do you want to come and do a tour in California using the El Patron products? I said, yeah, let's do it. I was working with a girl barber called Onyx. And then she started working with the guys from JRL. And then they were looking to build a team, and she said, oh, can I send some stuff out to Tom in the UK? So she did. I tried them out, liked them, got in touch with Shiu, the owner, and he was interested, flew me out to Florida, and I went to do the education for him in Hollywood, Florida, which was fantastic, down by Miami. And and I've been working with them ever since, because I think I got there. I try to exceed expectations. I try and give them the most I can do. I try and help them out as much as possible when I'm there. And it's about building relationships, isn't it?
Definitely, 100%. People buy the person, don't they? They don't just buy the CV that's on a piece of paper. It's buying the person, isn't it? I think definitely what you said there about, surpassing expectations, making sure you're there and you're up for it and you're giving 110%. Is key. The Kuhn job, was that just something that, again, that came through that? Was it somebody you met, or how did that one come back?
Yeah, no, it's very similar really. It was, we went over and we went to go to Kuhn headquarters. I did a show and I did an after party, and at the after party, whilst everyone else was drinking and dancing, I was sat with the global education manager and some of the team, showing them pictures of haircuts that I'd done from a collection called 13, which I did 13 models in my 13th year of cutting hair. And then that came back a few months later. They phoned me up and said, do you want to come and be part of the True Beauty show, international hair show, doing all the men's hair for it in front of 1,500 people in Holland, in Amsterdam? I was like, yeah, I'll come and do that. I did that for free. And then I kept the connection there and became part of the development team for the first 1922 line when they brought it out. And then, I was meeting with the guys. And it was about building up relationships. I was a good relationship with Lee, the head of the UK Kuhn, and then he put me and James Beaumont forward for the global ambassador roles. And then I just worked for him and worked hard. And I think there's a lot to be said about being nice and about being yourself as well. People see through it if you're false, and people don't want to work with you if it's not nice to work with you. People don't want to work with you again. They can quite easily say, look, I'm not going to work with them again. And then the word gets around, doesn't it, as well? It's only a small industry, really. Everyone knows everybody.
Yes. 100% definite. I mean, what you've got to I think, is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, there might be somebody there from another company who might be interested in working with you, or might be from another event that wants to talk to you. So you constantly have got to make sure that you're on your A game. But definitely, we all have a choice of who we work with, don't we? We all have choices. I mean, us
100%.
personally, or with the Barber Bash, we've had people come along, and it works well. It works well, but we don't have to work with people we don't want to, do we? So we'll make our choices.
We've all got that choice,
right?
Yeah.
How do you manage? Obviously, you've told me that you've been to so many different countries as well, and I know you spent quite a lot of time in America. How do you manage to balance it all and keep it all the plates spinning? It can't be easy.
Well, that's one reason why I got rid of the salon, because that's one reason I got rid of the salon. I just couldn't do everything else, and I had to my dad said to me, look, come on, you've got to think about something here for yourself. But at the same time, I'm always doing something in this time here where we've had the quarantine and lockdown. I haven't been able to cut hair, but we've been working hard on the charity. I've written a children's book, which is going to be published next year. I've got a deal for another book, which I'm going to be writing. We're setting up things all the time. I think I'm just one of those people that I need to be doing something. And if I've got that time, I will.
Projects. I told you, projects.
Yeah, it's about how you use your time.
You've always got a project.
Yeah, there's lots of things coming up, and I think it's just because you can't do one thing at the time. I think it's about being versatile, isn't it, and changing and being able to adapt. And I haven't been able to cut hair, so right, what am I going to do with that other time? I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to do this. I'm going to work on the charity. I'm going to develop other things, training, using the Barber Talk training and adapting that to other things that we're talking about doing, and going to the colleges and training the students in Barber Talk, so that they're able, and even the teachers and stuff like that. And I just had a phone call this morning with a guy who runs gyms down here about helping the personal trainers with that, having those conversations. So there's always something. And then obviously I'm doing stuff with production company. I've got a talent agency now that I work with, and a production company, and I've just been doing Mindshed with Ramesh Ranganathan and Peter Aitken and Anthony Crank. So their second episode of that just came out. Working on some potential podcasts and potential TV ideas and all sorts. There's all sorts of stuff going on all the time. I mean, just don't stand still.
What's the Mindshed thing? I did see that the other day. I saw you with Ramesh, my mate Ramesh.
So
what is that exactly?
Well, that kind of came about. So I was asked to go and speak on stage at the Barbican in, when was that? It was early this year. It was a thing called Life Lessons, and that was, I think Chris Evans had a lot to do with setting that up, and Penguin Books. It was a lot of authors and that. And we had I was part of the Squiggly Careers podcast, live podcast, and then I got asked to see if I would do a men's mental health panel with Ramesh, Aaron Gillis, who writes for The Poke and stuff like that, and Josh Roberts, who's an author. And I was chucked in there as well to do this conversation on stage at the Barbican in front of God knows how many people in this bloody great theatre. But we come away after that. One of the girls asked a question afterwards and said, "Oh, do you think there should be more of this kind of conversation of men opening up and talking about mental health on television?" And a bit like Loose Women, but for men. But talking about things that really matter. And I went to the.
You could be like the Janet Street Porter. You'd be like the Janet Street Porter on Loose Women. I can see you arguing with them all.
Kicking off, I went to I pitched it to the TV company, and they loved the idea. So they went through and they sort of self-funded it to make it do the first couple of episodes as pilots via YouTube, via Zoom. Zero Suicide Alliance got on board and funded the last one, and hopefully we're going to be doing some stuff in studios in real life with Ramesh and everybody, doing some real bits and pieces, which will be really good. There's some interest from Audible. I don't even know, Audible, Amazon, for doing it as a podcast. Also, Dave, the TV channel as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, something comes off and we get this on television, because I think, talking about mental health and the best way to create change socially quickly is through television, because people watch it and people are acceptable. They believe what's on television, don't they? So if we can have open conversations on television, then it's going to go a big way towards men feeling comfortable doing it in real life.
Yeah, well, listen, if you need a middle-aged, good-looking, very good-looking person with grey hair to come on to get a little bit of an authoritative figure, you know what I mean? I'm like a young Richard Madeley. Listen, we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up now, but I just wanted to do two last questions, really. The first one is, if you like young guys listen to this podcast, obviously we've covered all about the mental health. We've covered about how you've been successful with your ambassadorships and stuff. What would be your advice to young people starting off in the industry? If you had maybe 2 or 3 golden nuggets from Tom.
Well, I think if you're just starting off, I mean, if you want to get into the industry, I would say, as I did, volunteer in a shop, a good shop. Just get in there, get in with them. Even if you're doing your training, go and work for free somewhere if you can. Just go and offer and just say, look, I'll come in on a Saturday. I'll come and watch you. I'll come and help sweep up. I'll come and, you're not going to get paid for it financially, but you may get paid for a job afterwards. You're building a relationship. You're going to get paid. You're going to get paid in knowledge. You're just watching people cut hair will give you so much. And you watch things on YouTube. If you're watching people in real life, you can ask them questions. You can say, hey, Gary, how did you do that bit there? What did you do that for afterwards or during the haircut, depending on your relationship with them? It's a really good way to get you into the barbershops, because a lot of people go and do the courses, pay for it separately, and then you've got to go and try and find a job with no experience and no network and no relationships. And then again, I said it again there, network, relationships, build up. It's so easy to access people nowadays through social media. Give people a shout out, give them a message, say, how's it going, what are you doing? And then if you do get the opportunity, like, I've just been offered this morning to do a stage at Salon International, and I'll do it for the Lions, but I'm not going to cut hair on there. No one wants to see me cut hair. It's bored of me. So I'm going to get a couple of the younger lions and give them that opportunity to be on stage at Salon International. For them, that's massive. And it might just give them that opportunity to go on and do more or connect, or they might be backstage with somebody, Sam Wall or someone, and they'll connect with them and that'll give them another opportunity. And it's all about giving people those opportunities or taking the opportunities when you got them.
100%, 100%. I mean, again, it's how we met, wasn't it? Reach out to people. And then, like you said, it's a small industry. It's amazing. You can build friendships quickly, but definitely, you see somebody on Instagram or social media, don't be shy. Just drop them a message. And again, at shows, whether it's Salon International or one of our shows, go up and shake hands, not shake hands at the moment, but say, maybe a fist bump at the moment, say hello to people. And that's how you'll get yourself out there. My last thing before we finish off was, I know you've got a project happening in the Southwest in particular, but just a couple of snippets off you, please, of how people get involved in the Lions Collective. If they want to do a bit more than they're doing now, how do we get involved?
Yeah, so we've got the Barber Talk Lite, which is completely free. You can do that online on our website. That's just lionsbarbercollective.com. We also teamed up with the NHS Southwest Mental Health Clinical Network and also Health Education England to deliver 10 Barber Talk online sessions. So we've redesigned our Barber Talk training to be able to deliver it via Zoom. That's going out in the Southwest. You can register for that now if you're in Cornwall, Devon, Dorset, Somerset, Gloucestershire, Wiltshire. You can register if you email Karen at lionsbarbercollective.com. She'll get you registered on, and you can take that training for free. Once it's over, obviously there will be more Barber Talk online training sessions, but you'll probably have to pay for them unless we can get funding from different areas. But if you're in the Southwest, sign up now for that. It's completely free, and you'll get a full training qualification, all the rest of it. Help prepare for conversations we may be having in a world post-COVID.
Yeah, definitely. I've actually just come up with a little plan. I'll talk to you about it when we finish this podcast. But I'm thinking, like, all the colleges that we visit, because we do all these colleges all up and down the country. What a great idea it might be for me to speak to the colleges, and if we could get any type of funding to get the young people into the Barber Talk stuff, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
but anyway, listen.
I spoke to someone up in Cumbria. Someone up in Cumbria who knows you, who said the Barber Bash come in. They're great, aren't they? So yeah, the girl called Lorraine from Cumbria at college up there. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I'm really made up with what you're doing. I think it's fantastic, not only from a barbering aspect and your ambassadorships with Kuhn and JRL, but the way I've seen this Lions Collective thing grow over the last 5 years has been brilliant. And also, it's created a bit of a community of positivity between the barbers, that they've been able to get involved with something and feel like they could do something to have a positive impact on the clients and the colleagues as well. So I think the whole thing's marvelous. And again, if any way we can help with it, that would be terrific. But Tom, our time is now up. I'd just like to say thank you very much for giving me your time. You're a good mate of mine. I hope we see lots of you in the future, and hopefully see some of the shows. Maybe we can get some of the Lions teams on the stage. But thanks for spending the time with me. It's been a great date.
Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, buddy.
Take care,
Speak soon.
Bye, mate.